strangest wild dogs on Earth, the bush dog. And yes, it looks exactly like a loaf of bread with legs. Scientists gave it the dignified Latin name Speothos venaticus, which roughly translates to small hunter. But if you showed one to most people, they'd probably assume someone forgot to finish assembling a dog. Bush dogs live in the forests and wetlands of South America. They're short, squat, and built like furry sausages. Their legs are so tiny that if you remove the tail, you might mistake them for a very determined guinea pig. But despite their awkward appearance, bush dogs are serious hunters. They travel in packs and can take down prey much larger than themselves, including capybaras and deer. Even stranger, bush dogs are partially webbed. This makes them excellent swimmers, which is useful when your hunting strategy involves chasing animals straight into rivers. So yes, that weird little breadloaf creature is actually a highly coordinated pack predator. Nature is nothing if not creative. The maned wolf. If the bush dog looks like someone compressed a dog, the maned wolf looks like someone stretched one vertically. The maned wolf lives in the grasslands of South America and has legs so long it looks like a fox that borrowed stilts. These long legs aren't just for dramatic effect. They help the animal see over tall grass while hunting small prey. The maned wolf also has one of the most unusual diets among wild canids. Half of its food is fruit. Yes, the maned wolf is basically a vegetarian fox that occasionally remembers it's supposed to be a predator. One fruit in particular, called the wolf apple, makes up a huge part of its diet. Imagine being a carnivore whose favorite meal is basically produce. But the strangest thing about the maned wolf is its call. Instead of barking or howling, it produces a deep booming sound called a roar bark. It sounds less like a dog and more like something in the forest that should not be there. The African wild dog. Next is one of the most successful hunters on the planet, the African wild dog, also known as the painted dog, because it looks like nature let a toddler decorate it. African wild dogs hunt in coordinated packs and have a hunting success rate of around 80%. For comparison, lions succeed about 30% of the time. So while lions get the documentaries, these dogs are the ones actually getting dinner. They communicate constantly with squeaks, chirps, and high-pitched calls that sound more like excited birds than predators. But what makes them truly remarkable is their teamwork. When a pack member is injured or weak, the rest of the group will bring it food. In other words, African wild dogs have a stronger social safety net than many human workplaces. Unfortunately, habitat loss and disease have made them one of Africa's most endangered carnivores, which is tragic because they're also one of its most fascinating. The dhole. The dhole, sometimes called the Asiatic wild dog, lives across Asia from India to Southeast Asia. At first glance, a dhole looks like a fox, but then you realize it hunts in packs and takes down animals 10 times its size, including deer and wild boar. Dholes are incredibly social animals and communicate using whistles. Yes, whistles. Which means somewhere in the forests of Asia, there are packs of predators coordinating hunts using what sounds like a group of hikers calling each other. Despite their impressive hunting abilities, dholes are rarely discussed outside scientific circles, which is a shame because a pack of dholes can be one of the most efficient hunting machines in the animal kingdom. The Ethiopian wolf. The Ethiopian wolf is the rarest wolf species on Earth. Fewer than 500 individuals remain. They live high in the Ethiopian mountains, hunting rodents across alpine grasslands. Unlike most wolves, Ethiopian wolves don't rely heavily on pack hunts. Instead, they spend much of their time stalking giant mole rats, which is essentially the wolf equivalent of fine dining on oversized hamsters. But despite their unusual diet, Ethiopian wolves are still true wolves, slender, elegant, and built for endurance. Unfortunately, disease from domestic dogs and habitat loss continues to threaten their survival, which makes them one of the most endangered canids on Earth. The gray wolf. The gray wolf is probably the animal most people imagine when they hear the word wolf. It's also the largest wild canine species. Gray wolves once roamed across most of the northern hemisphere, from North America to Europe and Asia. They're famous for their pack structure, intelligence, and haunting howls. Contrary to popular myths, wolf packs are usually just families, a breeding pair and their offspring, which means what humans once called alpha wolves are really just mom and dad. Wolves can run for long distances while tracking prey, using endurance rather than speed. Their coordinated hunts have allowed them to take down animals as large as moose and bison, which is impressive when you remember each individual wolf weighs about as much as a medium-sized dog. The red wolf. The red wolf is one of North America's most endangered predators. Native to the southeastern United States, red wolves were nearly wiped out during the 20th century due to hunting and habitat loss. Today, only a small population remains in the wild. Red wolves are slightly smaller than gray wolves and have a distinctive reddish coat. They play an important role in controlling prey populations like deer and raccoons. Without predators like red wolves, ecosystems can quickly become unbalanced, which is nature's way of reminding us that removing the top predators is rarely a good idea. The coyote. The coyote is perhaps the most adaptable wild canine in North America. Coyotes once lived mostly in open plains, but today they've expanded across the entire continent. They live in deserts, forests, farmland, and even major cities. Yes, coyotes have figured out how to survive in environments filled with humans, cars, and trash cans, which, if we're honest, makes them one of the most successful animals on Earth. Coyotes are opportunistic hunters and scavengers. They'll eat rodents, rabbits, fruit, insects, and whatever leftovers humans accidentally provide. In short, coyotes are the ultimate survivalists. The raccoon dog. Despite the name, the raccoon dog is not actually a raccoon, it's a member of the dog family, but it does have a raccoon-like face which has confused people for centuries. Native to East Asia, raccoon dogs are unique among canids because they can climb trees and hibernate during winter. That's right, they're the only wild dogs that essentially decide winter is too inconvenient and choose to sleep through it. They're also extremely adaptable and have spread across parts of Europe after being introduced by humans, which proves that if you give an animal a mask and decent survival skills, it can apparently colonize entire continents. The bat-eared fox. The bat-eared fox is found exclusively in the African savanna. The bat-eared fox looks like exactly what its name suggests, a fox with ridiculously large ears. Those ears aren't just for decoration, they help the animal hear insects moving underground. Because unlike most predators, bat-eared foxes eat mostly termites and beetles. In fact, a single fox can consume thousands of termites in one night, which means this animal is basically a vacuum cleaner with legs. But it's an incredibly important part of the ecosystem, helping control insect populations across African grasslands. The Arctic fox. The Arctic fox might be one of the most resilient animals on Earth. It lives in the Arctic, where winter temperatures can drop below -50 degrees Celsius. Yet this small fox survives thanks to thick fur, compact body shape, and incredible adaptability. In winter, its coat turns pure white, blending perfectly into the snow. In summer, it becomes brown or gray, which makes the Arctic fox basically nature's seasonal fashion model. These foxes follow polar bears to scavenge leftovers from kills, which is either a brilliant survival strategy or a very risky dining plan. The Fennec fox. Finally, we arrive at one of the most famous small wild canids, the Fennec fox. Native to the Sahara Desert, Fennec foxes are tiny animals with enormous ears. Those ears help dissipate heat and allow the fox to hear prey moving under the sand. They're also extremely cute, which means if the animal kingdom had a marketing department, the Fennec fox would probably be the brand ambassador. But don't let the cuteness fool you. Fennec foxes are tough survivors, able to live in some of the harshest desert environments on Earth. From loaf-shaped bush dogs to towering maned wolves and termite vacuum foxes, the wild dog family is far stranger and more diverse than most people realize. If you enjoyed exploring these incredible animals, like and subscribe for more videos where we explain every species in the animal kingdom. And let me know in the comments which wild dog surprised you the most.